Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Ask Dr. Dan. Today's show is called Parenting in Uncertain Times. We're all in this together. It's going on everywhere you look, everywhere you read, in all of our consultation rooms with your friends. People are wondering, how do you parent? What do you say? We're all trying to focus on the holidays, or maybe not focus on the holidays. There are bows everywhere. We're trying to stay focused on this holiday cheer and, mitigating holiday stress. But underneath, we're going to be talking about today, how do you parent in uncertain times like we have right now? Before we launch into that, and while everyone's getting online here, I want to tell you a little bit about Parent Footprint. The whole idea behind Parent Footprint is that the key to raising happy, healthy, and aware kids is for us parents to be happy, healthy, and aware ourselves. And by being aware of where we've come from and becoming aware of what we want for our kids, we can intentionally leave a footprint for our kids and our grandkids. Because no matter what, we're all leaving footprints, just like the footprints that were left on us. That's why we created parent footprint awareness training, to create a situation where, just like we're talking right now, or you're looking at me, where I take you through several modules to help you become aware of what's important to you, what are your thoughts and emotions that go into everyday parenting, who was most influential in your life positively and negatively, and how you can create your own vision of successful parenting and do it from your own home, on your own iPad, your iPhone, your smartphone, in your car, and really make this accessible to all. Okay, so back to this whole idea of parenting with uncertainty. As I've been thinking about this and talking to a lot of people about it, there are some truths that I think that we have to stay in touch with. And as we're thinking about this, it's really getting in touch with how we are feeling and what we're thinking, so we know how to be in tune with our kids and to give them what they may need and what they may not need. So one of the truths that I've become aware of is that the future is always uncertain. The future is always uncertain, and it always has been uncertain. What we humans do is we do our very best to convince ourselves that everything is fine and everything is going to be fine. And we do this in a variety of ways. We might keep calendars, we might keep schedules and routines, exercise, eat right, check in with our kids. We all have our own internal checklist that we use to manage the very real worry and concern that we really don't know what's going to happen in the next moment, later today, next week, or next year. It's true that many people are concerned about the different policies, the different cabinet appointments, the different leadership, the different laws, the repealing of laws. That's all true. And what I can say is people have been worried about that for a long time throughout history. So what I think we need to remember is, I'm not being Pollyannish here. I'm just talking about the reality that the future is uncertain, and it always has been. And I think that recent events are making us just more aware of that uncertainty. As I'm talking about these truths and things that I've been thinking about, think also about how you think your child is processing them. I had this sort of flashback the other day in watching something about Russia and what's going to happen with Russia and our relationship with Russia and what Russia's doing and not doing. All of a sudden, I became very aware of being in 4th and 5th grade during the Cold War, during the concern about a nuclear war with Russia, and all the talk about nuclear war. And then I remember very vividly not only watching the news and news shows, but also being it was seeming like a requirement that everyone had to watch this movie called The Day After. And just as nuclear fallout is etched in people's bodies and souls, the visual of watching that show has stayed with me until this day. And I remember being afraid of nuclear war on a daily basis. I remember going to bed afraid at night, but I also remember not talking to anyone about it because I didn't really know what to say. I think I occasionally talked to my parents about it, The news would be on at the dinner table. Everyone was concerned. All of the things that we do as parents, our kids absorb and think about. All of the news that we watch, all of the conversations we have, even when they're on their Minecraft or they're on their computer or their iPhone Snapchatting, looking goofy at their computer screen, they are absorbing everything. So that's just a reminder about it's not about us only. It's really about how do we mitigate all this information for our kids. Here's a question from one of our listeners. How do you parent when the parenting style of both parents is different and when both parents embrace the future in a different way? That's a great question because people all have their own individual parenting styles and views about the future. I think one thing to start with is to have a parent-only conversation about each person's views and validate those views, because I'm sure there's truth in those views for each of you. The key is trying to get to a place where you guys decide how you are going to impart those views to your kids. It might be that you each want to impart your views together. It might be that you each come to a place where you can comfortably agree to disagree. There's often these views are two sides of the same coin. Sometimes people are very optimistic about the future. Other times people are very pessimistic about the future. Is it good for our kids to be overly optimistic about the future? Is it good for our kids to be pessimistic? I think since our kids generally come from us and are raised in this value system, there's not a lot. They pick up on everything. I think what's key is that parents have their own team meeting behind the scenes and really talk through what those views are, so the other parent can support it or at least be neutral. So when the kids are looking and trying to figure out who's saying what and why is mom upset and why is dad upset and why does dad disagree with mom, or whatever the case might be, I feel like it's respect for those views, which are different, and also are those views, is it age appropriate? Is it age appropriate to express those views with your own children? So the mindful and the aware parent thinks about what they're expressing first before they express them. And ideally, when you have two parents, it's the teaming that is key. Really having to design a still unique message that each parent can be their own individual, but something that still fits the overall family values and allows for individual thought even among siblings, because sometimes and often siblings have different points of view. Another truth that I think we need to think about is that humans are adaptable beings and always seek for survival and then ultimately to thrive. So yes, it's true. Many think that we are coming into some very difficult times with difficult decisions and difficult fallout from economic and trade and other social justice policies. But humans survive and adapt, and we need to remember that we are strong and we've been around a long time. So what I'm trying to say is, again, without being overly optimistic or Pollyannish, being very real about who we are as human beings and learn from history, right? There's some good stuff in history. There's some not so good stuff in history, but people do survive even when there is some fallout. The next part of this is the belief that people are inherently good. I promise you, there are more good people than people we do not consider good. There are more people who fight for what's right, who try to do the right thing every day, who try to make the world a better place than those who don't. And what happens is the news and the media, which is coming at us all the time, is focused on all of the bad stuff. My wife and I always watch The Voice. We tape it since we can't keep up with all of the kids' stuff. The local news comes on at the beginning of this tape every day, as it did last night. It's the same newscaster with 2 or 3 bullet points of awful things every single time, just flashing at us. We now laugh. We're like, oh, what bad thing happened today? So the news is designed to make us think about the bad and negative things. And what we need to focus on is the inherent goodness of humanity and people and be a part of that, right? That's why our goal at Parent Footprint is to create a loving and compassionate world, one parent and one child at a time. And it starts in our homes with our own kids, how we're acting and how they see us act so they can go and engage in that same pro-social positive behavior. Another truth that I think is important when we're thinking about parenting in uncertain times is the only thing that exists is right now, the present, right? This goes back to we all need to survive, humans survive, and that the future is uncertain. All we have is right now. All we have is today. Like, sure, we have to plan for the future. Sure, we have to prepare for the future. But what we really need to do is live in the present and just do our best every day. A theme that's been going on in my consulting room is that how do we live day to day with all the stuff that's going on outside in our United States and the world? Well, the thing is, for most of us at this point, nothing has changed in our day-to-day life. So we still got to live our day-to-day life and just be mindful of what's going on out there. But focus yourself and your kids on right now, because that's the only thing that's certain. A commentary from our audience: no news is good news, and I'm finding that these days that's very much the case. A final truth or a final suggestion, which I'm trying to live by myself these days, is be the very best person you can be every day. That's the only thing that we can control, is ourselves and our behavior, both as individuals, as community members, and as parents. So decide what's important to you, decide what values are important to you, and try to live them every day, because every day really matters, right? Every day that we're alive is one less day than we are going to be alive. Sorry to be that real, but as we get older and get a little more gray, I think we have to be really realistic about this. Cherish every day and every moment the best we can, even in the face of stress and chaos and uncertainty. What I'd like you all to think about, which is the same thing that I am always thinking about these days as a parent, is we spend a lot of time focusing on our kids. We need to start by focusing on ourselves, our own behavior, and realize that when we are living a certain way in line with our values, that is often some of the best parenting that you can do. And instead of always focusing on our kids' behavior, we need to take a step back and look at ourselves and think about what messages we're giving them. One of our folks online here says, even in the face of stress. Yes. So even in the face of stress, because we all live in stressful times, and we're all going to have stressful days and stressful moments. It's those times that we have to be even more mindful and more aware, so we can parent purposely and with intention. So remember, humans are good. Remember, the world has always been, and the future has always been, uncertain. We just do our best to make things feel safe and continue to try to do that, by the way. Focus on the present moment. Be the best person you can be, and show your kids how to be the best person they can be, even in the face of uncertain times. And as always, think about this question as you parent every day: what footprint do you want to leave?